Mr. Speaker, in January, the Prime Minister claimed that he had no choice but to take a private helicopter to the Aga Khan's Island. He said there were no other options. It turns out that that is not true. His staff, in fact, arrived at the island by commercial plane, and that bill was picked up by taxpayers too. It's bad enough that the Prime Minister chose to vacation at one of the most expensive destinations in the world when taxpayers have to pay. But why did the Prime Minister tell Canadians a private helicopter was his only option when he knew it was against the law, against his own ethical guidelines, and now we find out it wasn't even true?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, as I've said a number of times in this House, this was a personal family vacation, and of course happy to work with the Ethics and Conflict of Interest Commissioner to answer any questions that she may have.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Not an answer. Well, Mr. Speaker, that's not an answer to our question. This is not a conversation between him and the Ethics Commissioner. In fact, he told all Canadians publicly that in fact he had no other option. So the question is very simple. Why did the Prime Minister say he had no other option when in fact he did? In fact, his staff took the other option, which is a commercial flight. He knew taking this private helicopter was against the law. It was against his own ethical guidelines, and now we find out it wasn't even true. Why did he tell Canadians this if it wasn't true?
Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this was a personal family vacation, and I'm happy to work with the Ethics Commissioner, Ethics and Conflict of Interest Commissioner on any questions she may have. Furthermore, on Prime Ministerial travel, as is always the case, the RCMP makes determinations around what is the safest way for the Prime Minister to travel.
Honourable Leader of the Opposition.
Well, Mr. Speaker, no one has begrudged the Prime Minister a vacation, but first of all, Mr. Speaker, when he chose to vacation at one of the most expensive places in the world, knowing full well taxpayers have to pay for wherever he goes for security, that was a choice he made. But second of all, he's told all Canadians that he thought there was no other option. Now he's saying the RCMP told him he had to take a private helicopter. Is he saying today then that the RCMP told him to break the law?
All right, Honourable Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm happy to work with the Ethics and Conflict of Interest Commissioner on the details of my personal family vacation. As I've said, the RCMP makes determinations around the safest way for the Prime Minister to travel.
More news today regarding the Prime Minister's illegal vacation to a private island. On apprend que le gouvernement libéral a donné de l'argent des contribuables à cet ami proche du Premier ministre afin de couvrir les frais d'un technicien sur l'île privée. Ce paiement démontre que le reste du voyage était effectivement un cadeau accepté par le Premier ministre et plusieurs autres amis libéraux. Le Premier ministre va-t-il se lever aujourd'hui pour enfin assumer sa responsabilité d'avoir violé la loi?
The Honourable Governor House.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is constantly in contact with his office and receives information documents both in Canada and abroad. The Prime Minister must always be able to perform his official duties. As was said, the Prime Minister was on a family vacation with a long-standing friend who he has known for a very long time. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
De longue date qui connaît depuis longtemps.
A long-standing friend that he's
The
known for a long
Liberals
time.
initially tried to hide the details of this illegal vacation. When it was revealed, the Ethics Commissioner started not one, but two official investigations. And the Prime Minister continues to claim it's all okay, move along, nothing to see here because the Aga Khan is a close family friend. Well, are Canadians supposed to believe that the trip would have been more inappropriate if they weren't so close?
Government House Leader.
Mr. Speaker, as has always been the case for previous Prime Ministers, the Prime Minister is always in contact with his office and is routinely provided with necessary resources during all travels, domestically and internationally, and whether on personal or governmental business. The Prime Minister must always be ready to do the important duties that he has as Prime Minister, and this has been the case for this office always. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
The surprise visit to the West Coast kicked off bright and early at the Canadian Forces Base in Esquimalt.
The Prime Minister and Defence Minister joining about 300 military members on a 5-kilometre run.
I was absolutely fast with the Prime Minister. It was my main goal today.
Later in the morning, Justin Trudeau and Harjit Sajjan were given a tour of the base, home to Canada's Pacific Naval Fleet, before holding a news conference, which was delayed nearly an hour.
Just finishing up a great morning here at CFB Esquimalt.
Trudeau opening with changes announced to enhance the Canada pension plan, later taking questions from reporters on issues ranging from marijuana legalization to the Kinder Morgan pipeline expansion.
One of the fundamental responsibilities of any Canadian Prime Minister is to get our resources to market. But getting those resources to market in the 21st century means doing it responsibly, thoughtfully, and sustainably.
The pipeline expansion, the center of concern for some of the hundreds of people protesting outside Victoria City Hall. Others angry about the broken promise on electoral reform.
What do we want? Electoral reform. When do we want it? Now.
A big day for Victoria Mayor Lisa Helps, who finally secured a one-on-one meeting with the PM, something she'd been working on since he was elected. This marks the first time a Prime Minister has visited Victoria City Hall in over 50 years.
So today wasn't about getting to decisions. Today was about beginning a relationship.
The West Coast trip continues Friday with the PM planning to visit Vancouver. Neetu Garcha, Global News, Victoria.
Good morning, everyone. What a pleasure it is to sit down with Susan Wojcicki, the CEO of YouTube. Obviously, a lot of things to talk about, whether it's Canada's innovation in EI and drawing in businesses from around the world to do research and development in Canada, or the challenges around Canadian content creators and how we make sure we're getting out to as big a market around the world as we can. There's an awful lot to talk about, but I'm here fundamentally and prioritarily today to talk about how we can get more successful women into the workforce, how we can make sure we're reducing barriers so everyone can contribute to the success of our communities and our countries. And I'm very pleased to be sitting down with Susan to talk about that today.
Thank you so much for taking the time, and I'm looking forward to talking a little bit about YouTube and some of the great work that I see happening in Canada with some of the creators they're doing. We have so many thriving creators on the platform, so excited to talk about that a little bit more. And then I've had a long commitment to women in technology. It's been an issue for a long time that we don't have enough women in technology, and I really see this as a societal issue. And so it's great that we're able to take the time and talk about that and talk about how women can succeed in the technology workspace. And I think that just has benefits for the entire society. And it's important that tech is a more diverse business and an important opportunity for all countries going forward. So I'm very excited to be here, and thank you for taking the time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.